I've always thought there's nothing more powerful than a very determined woman. The world's seeing the power of women in sports and just in general.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for taking the time. We've got about 10 minutes, so we'll try and get as much as we can because your story is something that we could be here for hours. It's truly incredible. But I want to start off just by congratulating you. 22 medals. You are the most decorated Winter Paralympian in US history. How does that feel?
If you could only see the goosebumps under this shirt right now, it just feels like I'm reading a stat or hearing a stat about someone else,
Yeah.
and I'm celebrating for them, not myself at all. It feels like a dream.
Well, it is you. It's for yourself. You did that. And not only did you do that, you overcame so much to get here. And I want you to be able to talk about your background as much as you feel comfortable. But I know that you were born in Ukraine. And one of my favorite things that I read is that, you were born with birth defects from radiation, but you had six toes and you thought that was so cool.
Yes, I thought that was the coolest thing on earth. The funny thing is, like, when I was in Ukraine, I didn't even know I had disabilities at all,
Right.
but knew, well, this is an extra toe that normally it's five. And yeah, that was something I just like prided about until they amputated it. But yeah,
Right. That was like a superpower to you when you were little.
yeah,
You have a sixth toe.
yeah.
That's really, you know
I
what?
should have been a swimmer and that and kept it.
Yeah, right. I know. Okay. So you were in and out of orphanages for 7 years. And I don't want to generalize that into that statement. Tell me kind of as much as you feel comfortable about that experience and what you faced there.
The first few orphanages, I think that's the thing is like I grew up in multiple and moved around from orphanage to orphanage. It wasn't just one, and it wasn't like, okay, well, this bad situation, but I know it. It was constantly adjusting to a new way of life and the standard and the it's really sad, and something I'm so passionate about now is I want to recreate and design and not design, but just bring awareness to what is happening in orphanages, especially Eastern Bloc orphanages. And there's a lot of corruption in the orphanages I grew up. There's government ran ones, and then there are local ones. The
Mm.
government ran ones were the ones that were where the corruption happened. And I was considered malnourished and failure to thrive because I didn't have food. I didn't have all the medical care that I needed. And definitely was a challenge to grow up. And the one thing, earlier was saying I didn't know I had a disability, but
Yeah.
something I was very aware of from 5 to 7.5 until I was adopted is I didn't have a family and I was an orphan, and I was very aware of that. I don't think a lot of people know. um, I remember so significantly when families would come and say, we're going to adopt you, we're going to be your new family, and then they leave you there and never come back. And there's three specific ones I remember, and that was the norm there. And when I was adopted at 7.5 by my mom, who's just amazing, I struggled to adjust to that life,
Yeah.
going from what I knew, what was my normal, until I learned that, oh, that actually nothing normal about that was right.
Yeah.
And I came with so many scars, so many things I never got to choose, and memories I never got to choose. They were put on me. So it's just absolutely wild to think of where I came from
Yeah.
to now. Like it just feels like a dream.
You mentioned your mom. And when you were 5 years old, your mom, who was a single woman in America, saw a photo of you. And she said that she knew.
Quite an ugly picture. I was not
No,
looking the best at all either.
but you know what? She said originally she wanted a baby, right, when she was looking to adopt. But she saw that photo of you and she saw your eyes and she knew that you were her child. I mean, chills. That's incredible.
That just shows, I always say people who choose to adopt are so special, but then my mom is on another level because she didn't go and meet me and get to interact and say, I want Oksana. she based it on a black and white grainy picture and somehow saw my eyes, which I don't know what she's talking about. What happened was from that picture, after she chose to adopt me, the adoption agencies closed in Ukraine and in the US. And for 2 years, and during that time, they were telling my mom, you can go to Russia and adopt a baby that you wanted anyways, and you can get them in within weeks. We don't know when you can get Oksana, and she never gave up on me. And if she, I can guarantee you that if she did give up, like I would not be here at all because
Yeah.
I was told I wouldn't make it past my 10th birthday.
Mm.
And she saved my life, and so thankful for that.
Ugh, well, she is an incredible woman. And when she came to pick you up at the orphanage, you have been waiting, right, for 2 years for her, and you had had her passport photo. And so when she came in, you said, I know you.
Yeah. Well, so like the whole passport thing happened because she was supposed to come earlier that day. And
Okay.
I was so afraid if I went to sleep and closed my eyes, it was a dream and she would not come. So
Oh,
I threw a huge hissy fit. I refused to sleep. And the only way they could get me to go to sleep was if they gave me her passport picture that I looked at every single day of those 2 years in the director of the orphanage's office. And so they let me go to sleep with it. Yeah, in Ukrainian, when I met her and my Aunt Sherry that came to adopt me with her, that's the first thing I said is, I know you, you're my mom. I have your picture. And that passport picture was a validation of like,
yes.
see, this is proof you're going nowhere.
Yes, totally. And she came and she got you and she brought you home. And a lot of things happened, but one of the things that stuck out to me was that you grew 8 inches in 6 months. And I
Yeah.
think that speaks to the level of care that your mom was giving you that you hadn't had. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I well, I don't remember being that short, but I remember my mom being shocked and like I literally, so I was turning 8 and I was fitting in size toddler 2-year old clothes at that time and was 38 inches or pounds and 36 inches tall, and that is a healthy 3-year old in the US. And my mom, she's so sweet. Yes, it's nutrition, but she swears it's just simple hugs and affection and kisses that help my body to flourish and to really grow. And that is really what set it all off. And yeah, and my hair, like my eyes were dark and black. My hair was black. I mean, this is fake blonde now, but like it's
Oh,
nothing.
same, same.
No, it's beautiful.
Thank
But
you.
like it just all changed and it was just by nutrition
Yeah.
and just the power of love.
Mm, the power of love. And another act of love and another way to take care of your body was getting you the surgeries that you needed. What do you remember about that?
I remember having so my first ones were on my teeth. I had 4 abscess teeth when I came to America because we didn't have a dentist. That's actually how they found out I had radiation because in my adult teeth,
Oh,
when
okay.
they took x-rays, they saw radiation in my teeth and linked what's rare to have my hands, I'm missing organs, muscles, and my legs. And because all my birth defects were kind of sprinkled all over, radiation is, and I have no enamel in my teeth. And so it stripped that, and that's what they linked it. And I remember after that, a hand surgery, I had my first leg amputation and when I was 9. And so my mom wanted to wait a year after she adopted me because the doctors were forcing her to amputate right away. And she wanted me to learn the language, bond to her, learn my new home and family and what all this meant. And we had a goodbye ceremony for my little leg, the first one that definitely needed to be amputated. And my mom, I mean, she's amazing. She always celebrated my Ukrainian heritage, and we had a Ukrainian meal that she cooked, and we lived in Buffalo, New York, so there's a huge Ukrainian community there, and had a little ceremony for my leg, and at that time, honestly, with the first leg amputation, as a kid, you're just so resilient. I didn't really know what it meant, and after the amputation, I got a new leg, and I was able to be more mobile and not in pain. The
Yeah.
second one is where everything changed for me, and I was well aware at 14 what it meant.
But it did mean that you were slated to become one of the most incredible athletes that we have ever seen in this country. 22 Paralympic medals. Okay. And I know you don't, and this is across sports, and I know you don't like me to ask what your favorite sport is. I won't do that to you. But I want to know, out of 22, is there any medal that sticks out as maybe one of the most meaningful to you?
One of my most meaningful ones are actually the silver medal in 2014 the Winter Paralympic Games because as an athlete I really struggled. So I was in London and we won a bronze medal for Team USA. I was the first one in that category and it was incredible. But it was a mixed gender boat that we were in. So my rowing partner, Rob Jones, he was incredible and we earned that together. But a part of me always wondered, what did I do to contribute to it?
Hmm.
Did I do anything or did I just get lucky by having such a strong athlete? And do I really belong here? And when I in Sochi in 2014, this was the most full circle moment of my life because I win the silver medal. The gold medalist is from Ukraine, and I'll never forget that moment when I'm standing on the podium watching the Ukrainian flag rise along with the US flag rise side by side. And I won that medal on my own as an individual, my first individual medal.
Yeah.
And that kind of was the moment I realized I am an athlete. I do belong here. And especially after in 2008 when I did not, I think a lot of people don't realize wanted to make the 2008 summer games in rowing and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was told my whole a lot that I am too small, I'll never make it as an athlete, and it's an unrealistic goal. So it's just that is the most meaningful medal for me now to this day still. It's not a gold. A lot of people I think it would be a gold medal, but yeah.
I mean, how crazy to think that there was one time that you were reduced to you'll never be an athlete, and here you are, the most decorated Paralympian in country history.
Yes, thank you to that person that said I'll never be an athlete. It's an unrealistic goal because you know what? We have the power to agree with them
Right.
or to be like, you know what? I'm gonna show you. And that helps me prove her otherwise, but then also for the next athlete, like you can be the smallest. You have unique strengths that only you have, no one else have, and just takes the right team to bring it out in you.
Totally. Okay, I want to make sure we get a chance to talk about you are engaged to your fiance, Aaron. Can I hear like a very short summary of your love story just for time's sake? But I would love to hear from your words. How did you guys meet? And now you're engaged. I'm so excited for you.
Yes, so we met in 2013. It was all skiing and the winter snow, everything. We tried cross country skiing together. And honestly, cross country skiing and coffee really brought us together. I saw
Okay.
he had a French press. I saw he was having coffee flown in and I ran out of coffee and I was like, okay, he's good looking and he's flying coffee in. So he's got good standards. This says I need to talk to him. And from then on, we kind of been together since 2014. And now it took him 8 years and 3 months to
Aaron.
propose. I know. I mean, he did it now. It's fine. I'm
Did it.
still going to give him for the rest of his life, call him out for that. And he proposed to me in Jackson Hole, Teton, which is actually such a special place for my mom. And he wanted to make sure I had a connection to my mom's favorite place in the United States. And so
Wow.
he proposed in on a gondola, which is kind of a very special moment for us from Sochi in 2014. And now the rest is history, I guess.
The rest is history. Are you wedding planning or have you just not even been able to think about that?
No, we are wedding planning. Well, I'm wedding planning.
Yeah,
He's just
right.
like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Um, we are wedding planning and we're gonna get married. We're gonna go home and come back to Italy and get married in Italy because if it wasn't for skiing, if it wasn't for winter in the mountains, we would not have met. And yeah, that's gonna be we thought be a perfect way to just start our forever where it all started for us in the mountains.
Gorgeous. Well, we are so happy for you. I just want to end with you, more than probably anyone I've ever researched and talked to, have been able to take hard things, difficult things, doubters, channel them, and use it to contribute to your success. Can you just tell us how? Any woman who's out there who's feeling very low or feeling like they don't have a lot of belief behind them, how did you do that? How did you take those really like the doubters and also the difficult moments in your life and become
Yeah.
the most decorated Paralympian in US history? I'll just keep saying
Oh my gosh, it sounds so weird hearing that.
it.
I think, there's two things. I think there's the little you, and for that woman and that girl that's thinking about that is think about that little you that never gave up in those hard moments for you to where you are now, and you are who you are because of her.
Yeah.
And also, I looked in the mirror and questioned myself, questioned where I belong, who am I, and hated who I was. And I hated that I felt that so much about myself, and that I listened to the outside voices and society and let that determine how I viewed myself in the mirror. And that's what I hope people when they look in the mirror and thought about. I don't want another girl or a woman to feel the same way, to look in the mirror and not see strength in herself and not see power and all the things and she can be and who she is, and to not let outside noises and silly people determine what's possible for you, and you get to decide that. And I think I think ultimately that's what you just listen to the voice. Do you listen to that, look for that little girl in you that was always there for you? Or are you going to listen to that person that's popping up in your life right now as an outside voice that's trying to tear you down or whatever it is? And if they are, use it as fuel
Yeah.
and just prove them otherwise. And I've always thought there is nothing more powerful than a very determined woman or a girl. And I think that is something that the world's seeing the power of women in sports and just in general.
I love that. Who is one woman who's inspiring you right now?
Outside of my mom, I mean, I have so many. One of the things I grew up, I didn't have that person to look up to.
Yeah.
And now as an athlete, I really, really look up to Michaela Schifrin. I think one of my favorite moments of the games was watching her win her gold medal
Yeah.
in Milan Cortina. And just she's because what I love and admire about her is she is so kind. She is lifting up other women, like her teammates. If they win and she's not on the podium, she's still lifting them up and just supporting them. And I think that's something that's so powerful and the world needs more, is women supporting women. And when you rise together, or if you're down and someone else is up, it's still a win for us all. And I love that about her. And as an athlete, I look up to her, but as a human level and as a woman, I want to be her.
Well, you have
More like her, I guess I should say, clarify.
yes, more like her. Well, you are like her in the sense that Michaela was able to kind of quiet the haters and come back and do her thing. And you have done the same. You're an inspiration. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations for being the most decorated U.S. Paralympian in history.
Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
This is my goal.